Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Today, I have with me Quinton Greene, and he is an iridologist and a regenerative detoxification specialist. And I'm really excited about this episode because when I was thinking of all the different topics that I wanted to include to support the healing of the man-woman relationship and coming into greater union and divine union and to have these really high-level relationships, a lot of people overlook the power of cleansing and detoxifying the body and how that has direct effect and correlation on how we feel every day and how we're showing up. And so welcome, Quinton. And I'd love for you to introduce yourself a bit more to our viewers. You can share a little bit about your journey in a brief way, what brought you to this, and exactly what iridology and regenerative detoxification is.
Sure. Hi, Nikki, and thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Real quickly, a little bit about myself. I struggled with chronic illness my entire life from the time I was a child. I've known suffering on levels that I hope many never will. From a very young age, the list of things that I struggled from is quite extensive, but a couple of the major ones: severe panic and generalized anxiety disorder, OCD, chronic viral and bacterial infections, chronic fatigue, Lyme, occipital neuralgia, neurological illness, seasonal affective disorder, GI issues, skin issues. I had a skin condition called tinea versicolor after bad acne as an adolescent. So that's just the short list. Ultimately, though, after getting myself healed up in the alternative world, which was a very challenging world to get myself healed up in, I started to teach other people how to do what I just did, which was essentially detoxify and regenerate their bodies like I did mine. So formally, I am a regenerative detoxification specialist, which in my world, that is the way that we naturally heal. Going into the actual tissue of the body, detoxifying that tissue from all the bad stuff that got into it that doesn't belong there. Stuff both passed down from mom and dad, and stuff that we pick up just living life, environmental toxins, things that we're consuming, all those things. And then we go in and we also regenerate that tissue as we're detoxifying. Our bodies have the innate ability to regenerate tissue. And to actually, so I'm always telling my clients, clean and strengthen. That's detoxify and regenerate tissue. So we handle all types of chronic illness, all types of disease, and I'm now getting into cancer even. With that, as you mentioned, I'm an iridologist. Not many people know iridology. It's actually a technique used in the alternative world, mostly the naturopathic world, where the practitioner is able to analyze the iris and analyze characteristics, patterns, and colors in the iris. Then they can really see with great accuracy what's actually happening systemically inside the body on a cellular level. All the state of your tissue, your organs, your glands, and your body systems have been reflected in the iris from the time you were conceived. All that information is relayed through the autonomic nervous system, and then it's been showing up in your iris from the time you were born. Hence, our eyes are constantly changing. Colors change, and most people know that the colors of their eyes change, but most people don't realize if they took a picture of their eye every year, they would notice different characteristics and patterns doing different things in their iris, and it's simply reflecting what's happening inside of their body. So it's very, very imperative, to have an iridology analysis done, especially in this world where imaging and blood work often miss the mark and don't show, and symptomology even can be misleading. So an iridology analysis I always recommend for anyone that really wants to see what's happening inside their body. It's part of the reason I'm so successful in getting people healed up. I feel like I have the upper hand here through iridology, where I'm able to look in and we can pinpoint things and go right after them, even when other areas in medical science and symptomology might not be showing the whole picture. So.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. And just so everyone knows, right now, I'm actually doing a 3 to 4 month protocol with Quinton. And it was really amazing that you just, I sent you the pictures of my eyes, and I didn't tell you anything about what was going on. And you were able to see what was happening on a digestive level, and then even some things neurologically. And so I'm definitely really impressed. Just so everyone knows, I am really impressed with iridology, because I was able to receive a reading. It almost felt like a psychic reading of my body, but instead of it just coming intuitively, you're actually looking at things in the eye. So beautiful. And I want to dive right into our topic. And I'll just even start by sharing, we always talk about, to have our best relationship with another person, we need to have a really great relationship with ourselves. And part of that is taking care of ourselves, feeling really good. And some of that self-care is like what we're eating, what we do in the morning, our routines. And what people don't realize is sometimes if you're single, you're not attracting in your highest match, because you may not be vibrating at the highest level if you are full of disease, sickness, illness, suffering, symptoms of pain or indigestion. You just don't feel your best, especially if you're dealing with digestive issues and you might have bloating, or maybe you have some skin stuff going on. And so it might be hard for you to put yourself out there and really open up to receive love if you're not feeling and looking your best. And then also, when you're in relationship, you might be under stress, even if it's physical or health stress. And then anytime we're under stress, we can't show up in our highest to our partner and in partnership. And so I think a lot of relationships can suffer. And one of the ways that we can mitigate that suffering is if we're feeling our best. And so regularly detoxing and cleansing, I really believe at least once a year, but 2 times a year might be better. And even around the change of the season, doing some different types of detox or cleansing protocols could be really great to support us in feeling and looking our best. And I remember when I was having a conversation with Quinton, you were mentioning to me about things that cause people to feel intolerant. And I was going through some of that. I was really sensitive to noise. If certain people maybe behaved a certain way, it really almost irritated me. And I remember with my conscious mind being like, why is that happening? It feels a little extreme for the situation. And so Quinton, maybe you can share with our audience a bit about what you were sharing with Epstein-Barr virus and different things that could cause us to not show up as our best in relationship.
Sure. I mean, this is a topic that really needs to be explored much more. How we're feeling, what we have going on inside of us, what's lowering our quality of life is so critical when it comes to our relationships with others. Look, let me start by saying the human race now has a lot of bad stuff in their body that does not belong there, that was never supposed to be there. I'm talking about herpetic viruses like Epstein-Barr virus and shingles and human herpes viruses. There's a ton of strep bacteria. There's over 50 groups of streptococcus bacteria now. We've got toxic heavy metals, petrochemicals, pesticides, microplastics, solvents. The list goes on and on. And, it's no accident that all these things inside of us are making us not feel well and causing different symptoms, GI issues, neurological issues, anxieties, and depressions and chronic pain. So uh, when you've got all this junk inside of you, it's interrupting, it's doing a lot of things. First and foremost, it's weakening our tissue. And when tissues, whether it's organ, gland, or body system, when you get these troublemakers in there, and when you start to weaken these different areas of soft tissue, basically what happens in that time is that their function starts to lessen and lessen. So which always results in symptoms. So we're not feeling well. And when we're not feeling well, it means we're always dealing with these troublemakers inside of us. And that is so restrictive in terms of being what we're intended to be, what we want to be towards other people, towards ourselves. You know, a lot of this stuff, this all causes inflammation, and when it comes to a lot of these emotional type things that we're dealing with, uh, we're talking about a lot of viruses and toxins that are causing inflammation in different tissues, especially the neurological system and our brains and our nervous systems. And when you're inflamed in brain tissue and you've got toxic heavy metals up there that are oxidizing, literally rusting and bleeding into brain tissue like a piece of mercury or something like that, that's going to affect someone. That's going to affect how they feel. It's going to affect their happiness and how they're able to treat other people, how they're able to accept love, how they're able to give love. I can tell you from my own experience, I'm a far better person now that I've got myself detoxified in a lot of different ways, but absolutely when it comes to relationships, I was a guy who was really closed off. I could not open up to anyone, and I led a promiscuous lifestyle. I couldn't commit to anything. The whole time I'm thinking something's wrong with me. Like maybe I'm just meant to be single. I just wasn't feeling well. I was struggling with things in my brain and my neurological system that were, causing this inflammation and essentially stopping the flow of energy in my body, the proper flow of energy. And it changed who I was. And I even became a person that I'll say it now, I don't think I was very ethical. I don't think I was very moral. And I knew in my heart, I said, I would do things, in relationships or to partners. And I would say to myself, I'm like, Quinton, why would you do that? Like you're better than that. And I would know it in my heart. Like I'm a good person deep inside. And even with that knowledge, I didn't change my behavior. And I was like, maybe I'm just a bad card. I'm meant to be chronically ill and not feel well and treat other people not great and not able to open my heart up. And boy, once I started getting detoxified, that really went out the window really, really quick. I became a much better person. And I said to myself, I wasn't a bad guy. I wasn't trying to intentionally hurt women or I just wasn't feeling well. I had bad stuff in my body that was making me act a way that God didn't intend me to be. And once I got cleaned up, boy, I would, certain situations would come and I would do the right thing. I said, it was so easy for me. I was like, what happened? Like I would never make that bad choice or do that immoral or unethical thing anymore. It was so easy for me to do. And in the past, it was such a challenge. So it's incredible what happens when we get ourselves cleaned up and how we can show up for other people in relationships. And also just, I'm able to open my heart up now. Like, at least I'm open to it. I may still be single and, or working towards something, but, at least I'm open to it now because I feel better. Like I know that's something I could do now. And that's all product of detoxification and regenerating tissue in my body. I feel better. Now, to what you were speaking about, in particular, being easily agitated or aggravated by other people, that's always viral. I tell people, when you are dealing with a low-grade viral infection, usually Epstein-Barr virus, which really loves to go after someone's neurological system, it's very easy to get aggravated easily. You ever see that one of those people who never let anything go? They're always quick to jump down someone's throat. They're always aggravated, very short-tempered. They're always viral. Then you have the person who just kind of let things roll off their back, no big deal. They don't get angry at people. Generally, those people are less viral. So they just, they had that lack, they don't have that inflammatory issue in their body that's fatiguing their neurological system and affecting how they behave. So that's kind of what we saw with you, a bit of a low-grade viral infection, Epstein-Barr virus in there, creating neurotoxins and viral waste, inflaming the neurological system. And you get a little, off sometimes, we'll say, aggravated by situations when you probably, say to yourself, Nikki, I shouldn't have responded that way. I shouldn't have felt that way, But again, it's no fault of yours, actually, when it comes down to it. These things that have gotten in your body, they're not supposed to be there, and you didn't ask for them, and nobody asked for them.
Yeah. And what's interesting is it's not even that I react, is that I hermit. I'll stay by myself because I'm like, I don't want to be bothered.
Everybody responds different ways with it. It's like,
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
And so I'm feeling called to, as you're talking about all the things that are not supposed to be in the human body that can lead people to maybe do things they wouldn't normally do, or be unethical, or be promiscuous, or all the things that might be against you having greater union in your life, in romantic relationships, but also in relationships in general. I feel really called to also talk about the energetic side of things. And I think this is actually really cool that it came up like this as you were talking, because Quinton and I have decided to collaborate on a cleansing and detoxing protocol where he does his usual regenerative detox programs and I support on the energetic side. And I was literally seeing that as you were talking and listing all these things like Lyme disease, and you didn't even mention parasites. So we know that when there's heavy metals in the body, parasites love to be there. And the physical body and all disease that manifests in the physical body first has something going on at the energetic level that then it manifests in this way. And so that's why having support on both sides is really powerful, because when you clear it from the energy field, it supports you in a future without these issues or these invasions, we can call them. And we can think of like entities and other, if someone's looking at the energetic realms, they might say like dark forces or any kind of astral parasites or any kinds, and regardless of what your belief system is, right? This is just speaking on like understanding that there's a spiritual hierarchy and there's a physical plane and there's a mental plane. And some of these can even be caused by belief systems, right? So we want to work at all the different levels. And so when you were even talking about like things that you did that weren't nice to women, and I immediately was seeing this field, which I feel a lot of men, especially men that may be somewhat toxic, meaning toxic at the cellular level. So if you're eating bad foods and maybe you're smoking or drinking or taking drugs or you're taking steroids or whatever could be putting you out of your normal, natural, divine essence. On an energetic level, these can look like parasites and energies as well that are invading your space, which can affect your belief systems and thoughts, and then also cause you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, because in a way, it's like you're kind of possessed. And so just like you're going to do this cleansing on an energetic level, you also need to do like an exorcism of all of these energetic entanglements that could be the root cause on the energetic level that's causing the physical disease. Like even these viruses on an energetic level, they're seen as like these blood sucking, energy sucking parasites. And essentially that's what a virus does. Like it's like a parasite to a virus, because it comes and it uses all of your system to do what it wants to do inside your body. And so it's so important to take care on a physical level. So if you are someone who tends to more energy healing, you still need to do the physical detoxing. It will help you and you can totally clear things on an energetic level. And that's my main modality, for example. But I still do the physical detoxing because this is 7 years of history. So it takes 7 years for the body to regenerate every single cell. So you're not just, when you do your detoxification program, you're not just healing now, you're healing like 7 years of things. And so when you choose to regularly detox for 7 years, you literally, like your DNA expression changes. You literally look like a different person because you're clearing out all the distortions that are in your body. So then your metabolism and all the different systems in your body can start to function at their optimal level.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to lean on that a little bit. I mean, look, everything in the human body, it's about the flow of energy in that body. And, we get the energetic obstructions and we have the physical obstructions. And it's my belief that a person can't truly reach true consciousness and really high vibration unless they really go after both those areas, and they feed off each other. I all my clients, I tell them, like, let's make sure that you're working on that energetic spiritual type realm as well as that physical healing, because when you do both at the same time, and boy, is that really powerful. And that's when I see my clients get their quickest healing, when they are doing both. They're going in and trying to detoxify tissue, but they're also working on those energetic fields and working on the flow of energy in their body and all the traumas and all that. It's so critical. And a lot of people, unfortunately, just do one or the other. And sure, they get some healing and they feel better, but they don't even scratch the surface for what they could really be experiencing when it comes to that. So really, really important. And like you said, all these bad things in us, a virus especially, and just to talk about that real quick, a virus doesn't actually, viruses are a massive problem now. There's been a viral explosion, and these are one of the big players here in disrupting the flow of energy in someone's body. But these viruses aren't trying to hurt us. They're just simply trying to survive in our body. They just want to eat, and they just want to stay alive and grow in our body. And when they start doing that, boy, that really can foul up someone's, ability to feel good and have a good flow of energy in their body, I would say. So that, along with toxic heavy metals and radiation and parasites and, all these things, pesticides are a huge problem now. So all these things are in us and affecting us that way. And then obviously people aren't doing the work, the kind of work that you do, Nikki. Like, people are not exploring that now. And it leaves a person that is, we'll say, underachieving even in some ways in life, because they just aren't getting their body the way it needs to be. So
yeah, because and that actually brings us to the next and last topic that I want to talk about. So like you mentioned, you're kind of underachieving. So I'm really into like ultimate living your ultimate potential. So you have to detox if you want that, like, period, end of story, on an energetic and a physical level. I also want to talk about baby making, why it's so important that women, if you want to have children or have more children, and men, if you want to have children and have more children, whether you're single in a relationship, you need to continuously. So we're seeing a huge infertility problem right now on the planet. So you need to be detoxifying regularly to keep your fertility health, because it's a law of nature that if you are not in highest health, you won't get pregnant, because the tax, it's so much energy on the body to create another human inside of you. And so a lot of women, and even men too, because it can affect the sperm. So if you're a man that you're not in your highest health, your sperm can be affected. And miscarriages are also caused by the sperm not being ideal. It's not just the woman's body.
absolutely.
So coupleship, at least 6 months before you want to go through, before you start conceiving, you want to start to do some form of a detox protocol. But ideally, it's like you complete the whole protocol and then you start conceiving. Not like, okay, whatever, I'm just not going to think about it, because one may not be getting pregnant because of the toxic load in the body. And two, if you do want to be successful and not have such a hard time conceiving, detoxifying can really help. And so, and then also women who are single, if you still know you want to have children, I still recommend, just from an energetic level, when you start to prepare yourself, you actually call in that partner. So if you start to become the energetic frequency of the mother that you desire to be, the universe will be like, okay, she's ready. And you're more magnetic to a soul aligned partner to have the children you desire. And so I'm wondering, Quinton, what you have to share for, singles or couples who want to have children.
Sure. Yeah, well, look, I mean, way back in the 50s and 40s, medical science came up with the gene blame game. Let's blame things on bad genes, and why everyone is showing illness and cancer like it's running in family lines, as in mom and dad were passing down their bad genes to their children. That couldn't be further from the truth. Let's get this out of the way. The real reason everyone is struggling is because we have these foreign troublemakers in our body, and they're coming from mom and dad. Mom and dad pass down their toxin loads, their viral loads, their acids, especially I'd say about 75% from mom, since she carries, and so, but also dad is involved as well. About 25% of what dad contributes to baby making has a real effect on it. So here's something that usually happens. You have two people, they decide they want to start a family, have a baby. Mom has a little bit of chronic fatigue. She deals with some migraines and she's a little overweight. Dad's got some chronic pain. He's got a little high blood pressure and, you know, let's just say some chronic sinusitis issues. They go to the doctors and, they tell the doctor, look, we're going to have a baby. And the doctor says, go ahead. All these issues you're dealing with are normal issues. Just go have kids. That's the last thing a practitioner should be telling his patients who want to start a family. It should be, how about you take the next 6 months to a year, get yourself detoxified, get your body cleaned out of and knock back these symptoms, these diseases and all these issues you have going on, then bring life into this world. You bring a much healthier child into this world when mom and dad get themselves detoxified prior to conceiving. Um, it's unbelievable to me that this isn't encouraged more in the world that we live in, for mom and dad to get themselves cleaned up, and it makes all the difference in the world, not just with bringing healthy babies into the world, but being able to have a baby. In my world, the true cause of infertility and miscarriage is toxic heavy metals, toxins and viruses in the woman's reproductive system mostly. But dad's also, if he's got weak sperm, if he's got toxic heavy metals in his sperm, which most men do now, that's going to play a role as well. So, and I've had women with infertility and miscarriage issues that we've gotten them to have babies now, healthy babies. We just went and detoxified mom and dad's reproductive systems. And it made all the difference in the world. As people don't realize, toxins and viruses, if there's a couple areas in the body that they really like, the brain, the liver, they love the reproductive system, especially of women. And they tend to accumulate in the uterus, the ovaries, all these important areas. And women become very, very toxic down in the reproductive system. And it makes sense why infertility now and miscarriage is at such a high rate now. And like you said, dad's not in the clear here. Dad matters too. Sometimes dad is the difference. Sometimes it's dad who's responsible for not being able to have the baby, because his sperm is just loaded with toxins, usually toxic heavy metals, usually mercury. Mercury is the main issue in men being infertile. So you go in and you learn how to detoxify and you pull the mercury right out of you, and all of a sudden, things go in a very good direction. So sad state of affairs there, because life is based on being able to bring new life into the world, and you want to bring new healthy life in it. Look at what's going on here, Nikki, with sick kids. It's like never before. It's childhood cancer. You got sick babies coming into the world. Kids are obese. They got problems from the start. That's not their fault. It's a shame these kids are being brought into this world this way, when mom and dad have the ability to change that by getting themselves cleaned up. 6 months to a year. I like a year. If you really want to go and get yourself cleaned up and make sure you bring a healthy baby in, you and your partner want to start a year prior and saying, you know what, let's get ourselves cleaned up. And isn't it worth it? Wouldn't it be worth it? To give your child. I was sick as a kid. I get it. I wish my mom and dad had that information and could have got themselves cleaned up prior. It would have made a difference in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm already starting. Like, I'm not even in a relationship right now, and I'm like, I'm getting ready to be a mom.
You and
Because
me both. I think about being a dad every day. I'm like, Quinton, you gotta get yourself cleaned up. Gotta get yourself cleaned up. Like, I
yeah,
don't want my child to have to deal with what I had. I don't want my kid to have, me to pass down my medals and EBV so they have the same anxiety disorder that I did. I don't want them to have the speech impediment, this word blockage. I don't want them to have OCD as a kid like I did. I don't want that for them. So yeah, but people got to work on themselves.
yeah. And I think you're saying a key thing that I think doesn't always translate to people, that a lot of bacterial and viral infections are passed down from the parent to the baby.
1000%.
And that's a really important thing, which is why it's your responsibility to clean up. And I agree with you, do a year, do as long as it takes, like, and even start now. Like, we don't have to be like, in the bonus, we're going to share a bit more. This is perfect to lead us into the bonus, which is we're going to share tips that you can do daily to support you in detoxifying. Even if you're not on an actual protocol at the moment, it will just help with your general everyday cleansing and detoxing, because just being in the world, like Quinton said, there's so many toxins and heavy metals and pesticides and parabens and all these other things that were never here before. And so on a daily basis, we want to do some things to really support us in winning and keeping our health and elevating our health and our healing. And so with that, we bring the main episode to the close. But actually, there's one more thing I want to share, that if you are interested in doing a detox protocol with Quinton and I, both on the energetic and the cellular and physical level, and each of us kind of taking on a different part, definitely reach out to us. You can connect with us on our Instagrams or via email or on our sites, and we would love to support you. It's something I'm doing. It's something Quinton also does regularly in his life. And I think it's really important for the creation of the new earth, but also to support our divine union and bring through these beautiful, evolved souls that want to incarnate onto the planet right now. And so, Quinton, thank you so much for being here. Please let everyone know where and how they can find you if they want to connect deeper, and also they want to do the protocols and everything as well.
Sure. The easiest way to find me is on Instagram. That's at Greene Health and Wellness. My last name is Greene, obviously, so that's spelled with an E at the end. So Greene, Health and Wellness. I do have a website, greenhealthandwellness.com. And you can also find me on Facebook as well at my business at Greene Health and Wellness. Feel free to email me at greenhealthandwellness@yahoo.com. And, the first thing we do, I do a free 15 to 30-minute call with anyone, quick consult. I promise you, you'll feel better after the call. No matter what you're dealing with, you'll feel better. And then the next step from there, we would look to do an iridology analysis, and we'll do more of an in-depth health consult before any program or anything like that. So that'd be the best way to find me, Greene Health and Wellness on Instagram.
Beautiful. And be sure to let him know that you found us through the show, so then you can also get the energy sessions with me.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Tune into the bonus episode, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content, and remember, every Monday the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the ascension path with me and for doing this great work.